Are we good, Sarah?
Yes.
I can do like 5 inches. Come to the front if you want, but you don't have to. Welcome. I'm so glad you're all here today, and it's going to be a treat. Like, the only thing better would be having Andres in the kitchen while he's talking. But this is going to be a fantastic presentation, and I'm so excited to introduce him here in just a few minutes. Thanks to all of you who are online. We're glad that you're joining us. And have Pam, will you give us an opening prayer to start our session? And then I'll give a quick introduction to Andres and we'll be off.
It's an opportunity to learn from Andres. We are grateful that he could come and just what he's learned, and we're grateful for his experience and opportunities. We pray, Father, that thy spirit may be with us, help us to learn and be able to take the things that we've learned and apply them in our studies and in our lives. We're so grateful for thee and for thy son. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ.
Thank you. This is Andres and Cynthia. I'm going to say this right.
Granja.
Granje.
There you go.
Really close. And they're both from Ecuador. And I sent a little about their new immigrants to the United States. They're killing it, which is awesome. They're just making opportunities and doing such great things. I met Andres at it was an event at the Utah Valley Convention Center where he's working. And the way that he took care of me as a customer gave me pause. And so we started talking. And we kept talking and we found out, oh, wait, you're into learning and education. I'm into learning and education. And so we started a good friendship that I hope will continue for many years. I made the bad mistake of inviting him and his wife over to dinner. Never invite a master chef over to your house for dinner. That was a terrible idea. I stressed about it for weeks. Betsy knows. I was like, he's stressing about it. So if I ever invite you over, I will invite him over to cook for you and we'll be well. One of the things that he has done that I hope this is the kind of crux of the conversation today, was how to do large scale change. And when he started talking to me about changing the culture around food in the country, I was like, that's kind of a big deal. And oftentimes when we create learning experiences, it may be on a small scale or it may be on a large scale. And oftentimes it's as much about changing attitudes as actions, because attitudes lead to actions. And so I'm so excited for him to come and just talk with you today about this change initiative. I'll be your slide pusher forward if you want me to, so you can just be here in front of everybody. And I feel like you might be open to questions along the way.
Correct.
Okay, just ask any questions, and then he and Cynthia, who's also in her own right very talented and capable, I just haven't introduced you to her, will be around afterwards for lunch and for dining with us, and so we'll be happy to have and talk with you further. So, any questions before we get started? Floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank Stephanie, as she says, I believe that there are no coincidences in life. The person that you meet is somebody that can become important in your life. And this is what I tell the people that I work with. You never know who you're serving. You never know who you're serving. And that's a motivation for them to take up pride in what they do. And when she invited me to her house, I told her that you not only nurture people with food, but you nurture people with the energy that you do the food with. Correct? And that's the main point here. Food can be life-changing. Correct? So I come from a country where do you think that you can stand an egg on a nail? Sounds kind of impossible, doesn't it? But in Ecuador, you can, because we are at 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds, the middle of the world. So if you go to one side, the water goes this way. If you go to the other side, the water goes completely opposite. Those are things that we didn't realize as Ecuadorians 20 years ago. We did not have the pride. We did not have the knowledge of what importance our country was. It's important because it gives us diversity. So let's go to the next one. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to present to you Ecuadorian ancestral knowledge, indigenous knowledge, and identity in culinary education. All right? Here's my country. This is after we did years of investigation. So we traveled the country for 4 or 5 years, giving each dish or each recipe its place. So this recipe goes to this province, this recipe goes to this province, and we kind of made an atlas of what Ecuador looks like food-wise. But not only that, because whenever we did this investigation, we also realized that we had products, a huge diversity of products. So we celebrated not only our recipes, but now we market ourselves as Ecuador with our products. We don't market ourselves with food. Correct? Because we can change the products and we should be the masters of changing these products into food. We are the most, we produce the most, we have the most diversity, so we need to change these things, correct? I'll show you this in a little bit, but my country is divided in 3. You can cross from here to here in about 6 hours in a car, correct? And that's a beautiful thing because you can be in 3 different worlds. You can be in the Amazonian region where colonization, globalization has not touched them yet so far. It's touched them a little bit, but not like, for example, the Andes region. All the Andes region is full of mountains. The food there is completely Creole because we mixed with Spanish, and I'm going to explain to you that in a little bit. And then you have the coast. The coast here full of seafood, shellfish, and they cook with lots of products that were also introduced. And then you have the Galapagos Islands. If you get to go to the Galapagos Islands, please do. One of the most biodiverse places I've been in, not only with food, but with animals. We even have penguins there, correct? So down here, I want you to focus a little bit on the fanesca and the colada morada. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. Why are they out here? Because they represent the whole region. Everyone cooks fanesca. Fanesca is, you know, our country is very, very Catholic. And whenever the season comes, they believe they can eat meat during the day, correct? So if you can eat meat during the day and you go work, what happens with the soup that they do afterwards? Well, it has 12 grains. Why does it have 12 grains? Because of the 12 apostles that Catholicism has. And they gave this religion-wise to the soup. Now, if you ask an Ecuadorian guy, where is the best fanesca made? They're gonna tell you, my grandma's. So we have as many recipes as grandmas there is in Ecuador. All right, that shows our diversity in food. All right, the next one. This is me. I'm Andres Granja. As you know, I'm Ecuadorian. I'm a knowledge seeker. I love to learn. I love to exchange things, correct? And that's learning. I'm a food lover, a traveler, dad of 3. I am a master in corporate communications. I studied this because we started publishing books. As Stephanie said on our way over here, she was showing me the library. And she was showing me that your library has an award. Well, we didn't have any books of Ecuadorian food. We didn't have any investigation of Ecuadorian food 25 years ago. So we need to cement these foundations really strong with this, correct? So I became a developer, a founder of gastronomy and healthy products day in Ecuador at the end of the journey. And I'm an investigator and translator because obviously I speak English. I lived here for about 8 years in Texas. I did my hotel and restaurant management bachelor. I did it in Texas, correct? And I am also proudly a cook, not a chef. A chef is a boss. I'm not working in the kitchen now. So I'm a cook, correct? That's the pride that we have in Ecuador whenever we talk about food. The thing that you miss the most whenever you get out of your country, guess what it is? Can you tell me? food. I mean, you even miss it more than your mom sometimes. Like, oh, I could have an encebollado or a jaguar locro. All right, so basically, let's go back to what I was saying, the colonization. We've been colonized twice. The first colonization came from the Spanish people, correct? As Linda Newsom says in her book, you know, the size and distribution of native populations today reflect 500 years of demographic and cultural change. But in most cases, it was the first century of Spanish rule that was arguably the most formative. And this is completely right in our culture, and I'll show you why. During this period, the old world diseases reduced Indian populations to levels from which the majority have never fully recovered. And it also witnessed the introduction of new structures and processes that have been pervasive and persistent to the Indian way of life. We come from a country that is 70% indigenous. All right? And not only that, but if you look at it this way, you're only looking at the bad things the Spanish people did. But if we look at our mentalities and we change, they also brought good things to us. Food-wise, I think we're even. Of course, Spanish people came to America and they stole all the gold because gold was not important to us. What was important to us was the sun, the earth, the feeding, correct? Our gold wasn't important to indigenous people, so Spanish took it. But now, they also brought things like, for example, the cow, the pig, and that's our basis of our food now. So the social structure after colonization, what happens when Spanish came? Well, they're on top, correct? Our indigenous and our African people, we do have a low population of African people, but our indigenous and Africans went to the bottom of it, completely to the bottom of it. So that distributed everything. That's distributed the food. Because if they kill the cow, who gets the prime beef? Here or here? Top. Correct? So our indigenous people got the leftovers of the cow. But it was so genius that our diets come from there. And this reminds me of something I read a while back about the Eskimo culture or the Inuit culture. Whenever they kill an animal, they completely use the animal to thank for his life. Isn't that interchanging energy when you cook? Correct? Because the energy starts from there, starts from the product. So basically, everything that was indigenous was looked down upon. Everything was completely looked down upon 25 years ago. Creoles were the Spanish people that lived in the New World, as they call it, and mestizos are the ones that were born between an indigenous and a Spanish person. But this also gave them rights, different rights, you know? And obviously the bottom people didn't get any rights. They were slaves, they were workers, they were pretty mistreated, correct? Next one, please. So our culture was always looked down upon whatever was indigenous. And our main food, the food that we eat every day in our houses, we don't eat filet mignon, we don't eat Chateaubriand, we can't. So what did we do? Well, we have preparations, for example, as jaguar locro. Jaguar locro is with pig's blood, correct? And it has the stomach of the cow. And your faces are telling me that you probably won't like it. But that's because you haven't tasted.
We love it in China.
Correct. You see, that's the mix of cultures. And of course we love it because it's really good. Correct? Now we have preparations, for example, the Amazonian region. They cook in banana leaves. All right? Now, this right here, this is a market. we don't have the seasonal. We have all these products year round. And that's amazing to see in the diversity of agriculture in our country. And this part right here is just a fish market. You have all kinds of fish, all kinds of shellfish, correct? And the one up here is just to show that if indigenous people were eating this, the high social status people will not eat that. I come from a mom. My mom was daughter of a diplomat. And my mom was always in this high structure until I was born, I guess. But he will always look down upon indigenous things. And there was always that clash between me and her. Because I never looked down upon these things ever since I was little, correct? So the mentality of food is what changed my mom's mind, correct? And then you have guinea pigs. We eat guinea pigs, correct? Why do we eat guinea pigs? Because it's one of the most sustainable meats there is. If we all eat McDonald's right now, imagine how much meat you need to produce. Do you think you have the grass to feed these animals? No. So what happens? They start feeding them corn. And that's when diseases, for example, like E. coli came. Correct? Because we start changing the diets of our bottom products. Correct? So as you can see, indigenous was looked down upon. I mean, you will go in a market and the first thing they will say is like, it stinks. It smells so bad. Yeah, but it's food. It's fish. You know? And this is what we celebrate now. Because if you think about it, going in the market, look at the colors. Look at the diversity. Right? Let's go to the next one. So here comes the before and after I was telling you. To sum it up, lack of identity, shame of culture and traditions, and the colonial perspective in history and education. I mean, whoever writes the book is the winning side, not the losing side. Correct? So we need to learn both sides to become or to have an opinion on it. But our schooling was always Spanish are the best. And then when Spanish were the best, globalization came and we got colonized again by Miami because everyone wanted to live in Miami. Everyone wanted to my city to be like Miami, in a sense. All right? So we were always colonized by this imaginary of what you thought it was happy life. All right? So what did we do? Well, our goals were to embrace our identity first. You know, as we have products, we have very many various indigenous people in our country. All right? We started reevaluating our culture and tradition. The inclusive perspective through gastronomy. This was very, very important. And then we started celebrating diversity, developing professionals, generating identity and pride through our food and products. How did we do it? Well, we went to many regions, many areas. And as an area came, we had to tackle it because our objectives were those. All right? So this is before. Look at this picture. We're celebrating here. We're celebrating our local city festivities. How are we celebrating it food-wise? With Spanish food in a Sheraton? With Italian food? With a creme brulee from France? Where is our identity? Where is our pride there? There wasn't any. And every hotel will do this. Bullfighting. When in Ecuador bullfighting? Bullfighting comes from Spain. But our society loves bullfighting. As a matter of fact, in December, they start talking like Spanish people. You know? So basically, when I went there, I just couldn't believe it. After living 9 years out of my country, I couldn't believe that people would still do that. And this is This is a matter of colonization. McDonald's opening in the 90s, and they say in that billboard, they say they have the healthiest products of them all in a family restaurant. So we've been lied to. You know? So, and here, Ronald McDonald was gonna go to 2 parks and say hi to everyone in the city. Maybe 3 months ago, Starbucks opened in my country. The lines were 2 hours to get a coffee in Starbucks, knowing that Ecuadorian coffee has to be one of the best in the world. But they want Starbucks. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that this shows the lack of identity we still have. Correct? That's when we started here. I worked with Carlos Gallardo, he's my mentor. And we started discovering, as I said, give the atlas of Ecuador's dishes. And when we gave this and when we started this, people started doing Ecuadorian brunches at hotels. Why? Because we took the chefs from the hotels and we brought them to us. And we brought them to school because I directed a university in gastronomy, and we brought them to school to show our kids. But this this was changing little by little. And now you only have, I mean, in this menu you have goulash, but you also have fritada, which is a national plate. So we're mixing both. So we're starting to see that this is working. Look, for example, in billboards. Cheese with pizza, lasagna, sandwich, burger. When do we eat burgers every day? I mean, we're Ecuadorian culture. When do we eat pizza? We don't eat pizza every day. But these people thought it was the best way to advertise. Why? Because our society will always take the international side of it. So whenever we started doing this, then they moved on to national dishes, which to me seems logical. Marketing wise, who's gonna cook with more of this cheese? The ones that do pizza or the ones that do a national dish called locro? Correct? So we changed their mentalities. We changed their way of seeing things. And now, for example, in a billboard, you see figs with cheese, which we have as a national dessert. You know, and then you saw the corn with cheese on top of it, which was really good. And it was fulfilling for us because we knew we were rolling the ball and the ball was going downhill, and that was good. Now we go to the main part. How do we change education? Before we went in there, schools were teaching them French food, Italian food, Asian food. What about our food? And it was so funny because if a French guy would come to Ecuador, we will invite him to eat at a French restaurant because we were not proud of our food. We were not proud of what we had. The markets, for example, the markets were places where not a lot of people would step in. Nowadays, the markets are fully loaded with everything because government has invested in them because of the food, right? So we went from the gingerbread, which is fine, to our guaguas de pan. Our guaguas de pan is a traditional thing once a year. And nowadays, for example, they make like the guagua, that's the thing, the cutest guagua. And then the whole country goes into it because it's on the news, correct? So, as I said, education-wise, we started changing the mentality of people. And we introduced into the curriculum cuisine of the Amazon, cuisine of the Andes region, cuisine of the coastal region. Because the diversity was so big that we couldn't teach it in one semester. And not only that, but we also took them to gastronomic reality, which was to teach them about our festivities and to teach them about the products we have. We have the best cacao, the best roses, the best shrimp, the best banana, the best broccoli. In that little country you saw, the one that you can cross in 6 hours. Correct? Now, in this sense, it's very difficult for me to say that agriculture is going to grow in Ecuador because it's not. The problem is that they don't get paid, but they're supposed to get paid. Who gets paid? The middleman, the market. So what did we do here? We started a community involvement program. And not only I went with Carlos to do this, but then I took 200 students to do this. The same things we were doing. So here, I know I'm without a beard, but that's me. We went into mangroves in Esmeraldas in the region, and I went with 175 students. And obviously I met the people that were there before, and we went to catch crabs, and we have a black conch that we use for ceviche. And we went and try to grab this. So we went there for like 5 hours, correct? And he was one of the best ones. That's why I have him in the picture, because I asked my students, I go, how many did you catch in the 5 hours? And they're like, 5. And you, 10. And I asked him, how many did you catch? 50. 50. You know how much he gets paid for those 50? 50 cents. You know how much how much you pay in the restaurant for crab? You see? So what did we do here? We started engaging chefs with them without the middleman. No Smiths, no Kroger, none of these stores, but a complete direct relationship. And chefs, or my students, now know the effort it takes for them to get this conch in their food, or to get this crab from there to their plate. All right? And this right here, for example, this is tripes. When the chefs from Kendall College came, because I was I worked for Kendall College in Ecuador, and chefs used to come all the time. And when the vice president of the whole chain and everything came, I invited them to eat this at the market from her. It's a lady that's been there for years in their barbecue, making this and making this. And he was like, this is what I wanted. Every chef wants to eat where regular people eat. You see? So I took him to the market. They had the greatest time. Now look at this. This is in the Amazon region. Look at her arm. Look at her age. She's been doing this for years and years and years and years. And me as a chef, we have to recognize that. All right, let's go to the next one. So here's the story that changed my life, because after this story, I started teaching culinary sustainability. Now you see these guys, right? They look pretty scary, don't they? They look pretty scary. So we went to the community. You go, well, this is a tourism one. In one of these, it was three indigenous people and me and Chef Gallardo. And we went to investigate what the river had. So we took out some clams and this and that, and we were studying the things that the river gave us. And he's like, and the guy goes, okay, we're gonna fish for lunch. So he fished a huge one. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna eat so well. Well, he took the hook out and he threw it back in the river. And I was like, why would he do that? But I was really scared of him. I didn't want to ask him. All right. So then he took out a smaller fish. We cooked as chefs. We all ate and everything. And the question was still on my mind. So I went up to him, and they don't have the distance proximity bubble. So they come at you really, really close by, and they don't talk to you. They scream at you. Correct? So I went up to him all scared. And I was like, why did you throw big fish? With this simplicity of an answer changed my mind. He said, did you think we needed big fish? We didn't need that big fish. That fish, afterwards, I started talking to him. He's like, that big fish procreates more fish for us afterwards. we weren't enough people to have that fish. And that also links to what I see every day in the convention center. People serving themselves a huge dish and leaving more than half of it for the trash. And when you know better, you do better. Correct? And that links me to that. I was thinking to myself, wow, I can't believe we throw so much food away. I've gotten up to throwing 100 pieces of salmon. Pieces of salmon. You know, and I will always tell them that in my country would be gold. I will be gold. But if we want to change something, or if we want to learn something from here, is that don't waste food. You know how much effort it takes to cultivate those lettuce, cultivate those tomatoes. All right. So, yeah, this was a story that completely changed my mind and completely changed my perspective in education. All right. Next one, please. So the knowledge exchange came from people that had to do this to cook every day. They didn't have that thing that you go, ting, 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 and then the fire comes out and you put a pot. No, they had to make their own fire. And that's where I'm saying that you exchange your energy with food. The effort that it takes to do this, it's a lot longer than us. Correct? And I see that here and in globalization itself, the less time, the less effort you do in a kitchen, the best for you, because you have other things to do, because you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do that. I find myself in the kitchen where a place where I don't think about anything else but what I'm doing. I live the present. And when you live the present, you stop worrying about what's supposedly going to happen. All right? So we started doing this exchange because we started giving them fine dining to indigenous people. That picture right there is an indigenous person, and what we did a chocolate truffle on top, and then since we produce the best roses in the world, we grabbed one petal of rose, flipped it in the chocolate, and then ate it with the rose petal. All right? So he gave it a completely different texture, a different flavor, because food is not good or bad. Food has textures, temperatures, colors, flavors that you need to engage in. All right? So the cultural exchange was completely across, and it was round circle, because if we produce more, if this guy that produces blueberries, for example, if we promote the use of blueberries in different plates, what's going to happen to the production of this guy? He's probably going to have to go up. That means more money for him. And especially if you're doing the exchange chef him. All right? Because if you sell it to the market, it's not a good idea. I've been there, done that, had to close down my strawberry business. What do we do next? Because we had to transmit this outside to the world. We're only focused inside our country. So now we have pride, now we have identity, now we take this outside of the country. That's when we started knocking the government's door. And government, thankfully, caught on it. All right? So they started taking us to fairs in New York, Miami, Milan. And what we did is we went for the people that export in our country. So we went with the banana people, the quinoa people, all these people. And what we did as chefs is cook something to give to the public at the fair. So you will come to this and like, here, this is with quinoa. Oh, wow, it's so good. Well, the producers are right there. Go talk to them. And we gave a completely different approach to products that were exported in Ecuador. We export tuna, quinoa, chili, bananas, shrimp. Now we export a huge quantity of fruits, for example. Right? So we went to the private businesses and we went to government. And this closed our circle because we had education in our hands by changing the curricula of students. We had the people in Ecuador with identity and pride, and now we're going outside. So this is 15 years ago. And we went outside and we went outside and we went outside until right now, maybe like a week ago, one of the restaurants I founded over there just won a world award. But this is time. This is the ball going down and rolling. It's nothing that comes like poof. It's work, right? We also went into the transmission and expansion of our food. Next one. And we generated Taste Ecuador. This was my communications project, my master's degree project. And it still goes on because with Taste Ecuador, we started generating more books, more festivals, more education, more pride. Books continue to start doing by other chefs. So we basically push them in the world of books, correct? Festivals. Well, hornado, one of our national dishes. This national dish is probably made out of the 24 provinces, 20 provinces make this hornado. So we made them compete to see who has the best hornado. Now, every single province has its own little touch that changes the hornado. Correct? So what did we celebrate here? We didn't celebrate the best hornado. We celebrated to the diversity of hornados we have. All right? And a lady won the prize. They won first, second, and third. I got to travel through all the provinces and taste all of them. And it was an experience that was also documented in the news. All right? So as we document things in the news, as we document things in books, we start to grow. We start to grow. We also had one with a different type of soup also, which is called encebollado. Now we have TV on our shoulders. So we start telling the stories that we heard throughout our investigations traveling the country for 4 years. And these are stories that show you the name, show you the recipe, show you something that nobody knew why it was. So for example, we have a seco, it's a stew. So a stew is it's pretty juicy, correct? And we serve it with rice. Why do we call it seco if seco means dry? Well, in Ecuador, we usually eat soup, then the second dish, and then dessert, correct? See, if you talk about the second dish, when bananas came to Ecuador, lots of people from here went to Ecuador. And they were asking for the second plate, correct? And the second plate was a stew with rice. So us as Ecuadorians, always looking upon the people that were international, they changed the name to seco. You know, so you guys, Americans, are responsible for that. And we love it because we have seco de pollo, seco de gallina, we have many types of secos. Right? So we started storytelling about people, products, and preparations. This is one of the stories that we told them, and nowadays it goes all over the country with pride. Correct? We started creating recipes through investigation and endemic products. Who here knows ceviche? Raise your hand if you've eaten ceviche. Do you like it? Correct? Now, ceviche is usually made with lemon. Why? Because if you do it with a deep sea fish, the deep sea fish cooks only with lemon and salt. It never goes inside the pot. It never goes inside the pot. Why? Because it destroys the texture, it destroys the taste of it. If it's deep sea fish, correct? So we were like, why does lemon cook the fish? Well, we started finding out that it was because of the pH of the lemon. So if you have a fruit that has different or lower pH, it can also cook the fish. So we started doing passion fruit ceviches. We started playing with fruits, you know, and that has celebrated the diversity of the recipes of endemic products that we have. All right? We diversified the recipes with the same product. So shrimp, we probably have 100 recipes with shrimp because shrimp is one of the export products of Ecuador. Cacao, which is the base of chocolate, we probably have tons of cacao. We've won prizes with cacao now, with the chocolate we make with cacao. My daughters have a farm with cacao, and it's amazing because they love it. I mean, if you get the opportunity to cut a cacao and eat it as a fruit, do it. It's beautiful. It's very, very good. So we started also product development by using local resources. So we went to the restaurant and we started doing this whole thing about the locality of products. You are helping your neighbor if you use your local product. I mean, I'm not buying from, like I told my students over there, I go, a piece of salmon here in Ecuador, just imagine how it affects global warming because it comes from Norway. So whenever it gets fished, it needs refrigeration. So it goes to the dock needs refrigeration. From the dock to the airport needs refrigeration. From the airport to the airplane needs refrigeration. But it's not going to go from Norway to Ecuador. It's going to stop in Madrid. What happens in Madrid? In Madrid, you need refrigeration. So imagine how much damage this does to the earth. Is that sustainable? Probably not. So we developed using local products. So instead of salmon, we use trout. All right. And we made ceviches with trout. We made fried trout. We made so many things with trout. Okay. Here we started with lobbies and events. So our events, like this is in Kendall College. We're teaching them a fish class over there. Correct. And then over here we have events with our dancers, with our indigenous dancers. And that showed our culture also, correct? So we went for sponsorship and fundraisings, events for international ambassadors in Ecuador. We took all the ambassadors that were in Ecuador and we took them to our school, not to eat, to cook. So they were with the chef, the ambassador and the wife, cooking Ecuadorian food. After they cooked, we served them on their thing. And that's what I told Stephanie. Our culture is about sharing in the kitchen. Because when we do the fanesca, that soup that I told you a while ago, you have the little girl doing the lupini beans, the little girl, and then the other cousin is doing another thing, and the other cousin is doing another thing, and my aunt is doing another thing, and my grandma, she's like the director. You know, that's how we cooked in our houses. As I said, we started participation in international fairs, so our products started winning prizes, and Global Culinary and Products Award. We just won a global award not too long ago, and that's what we were looking for, to win a global award. Now what we look is maybe for a chef with a Michelin star. Next one, please. Now, this is the day of gastronomy and healthy products. After all this, we needed for the population to celebrate our products. When I worked for Congress in Ecuador, and I worked for the president per se. And I was, President, we need to do a gastronomy day. But she was so into politics that she put me on the side. She's like, food, no, food, no. But I insisted so much that she said, okay, I'm going to do it just because you insisted so much. And when we went to Congress and we put the terms to vote, it was a unanimous yes. 100% of Congress people said yes. And that was a victory. Because from 2010 up to now, we've been doing events to promote products, cooks, education, agriculture, fishing, tradition, and pride. Right? The last event that we did, we made lots of chefs with prizes because chefs have a huge ego, all right? And the thing is that all chefs, they all row their boats and they row really hard. Problem is they don't have a horizon where to go. Correct? And that's what we're trying to do with Day of Gastronomy. Give them a horizon where they can all go to. correct? So we've been doing that since 2018. Now I'm here and I'm here with you guys doing this. I'm promoting my country for Day of Gastronomy. All right? And the last thing I did, I was dean of a college in Ecuador. And curiously, you know, coincidences don't happen, but we were best friends. I was dean of this one and the dean of this university, we were best friends in school a long time ago, and we found each other. And we're like, we need to promote the unification of the people that are studying culinary arts. And that's what we did here, because they're probably going to be colleagues. Doesn't matter which university you came from. You're a cook. And you're gonna have people from all around. Now, think or keep in mind that not all cooks are formed in universities. No, we have cooks that are formed through life. And yes, afterwards they do events, but their mentality is completely different than a college person. So we wanted them to be leaders in the kitchen, but also to be friendly with each other and to help each other. Because we believe that the kitchen is a thing for all of us. We all nurture with food. All right? Those are pictures of the event. All right? We celebrated in the 4 universities. We did 2 salt, 2 sweet. They competed for the 4 events. We all won prizes. But the most important thing is to see all the professors, all the deans, all the students together. It goes beyond food. It goes beyond the products. Food is nurturing for you, and the people that do this food should nurture you yourselves with energy. I've been here, like the first 2 months I was here, I felt that food was very, very produced. I went to the market the other day, to the market in the park, and I see people that do their own products. And I bought some. You know what? They even taste different. That's why you have all the round red tomatoes, and they look beautiful, but they have no taste. Correct? So if you want to cook good food, buy from these people. They do the effort to go in the market and sell it to you guys. Take advantage of that. Okay? And these are some of my students became entrepreneurs. So this guy serves Ecuadorian high-end food. I mean, we're talking about ceviche with oysters. We're talking about some incredible things of his mind. These are the guys that won the prize. Now, there's different sides of the story, because these 3 restaurants serve traditional food. So we're celebrating both. We're celebrating products and we're celebrating tradition in food, correct? She was my student. That's her dad. He's a famous singer in Ecuador. So she takes advantage of that in her logo. Now this too, he does sushi and he does Italian food. But their focus is using Ecuadorian products. So basically, our job is not done because we have a lot to do. We have a bunch of things to do with this, correct? And basically what I wanted to actually reiterate here, that is something that we need to change, is the whole sustainability of food and the whole respect for the product. When you cook tonight or when you cook today, just think about the person that produced that thing. And if it was a machine, don't buy it again. If it's a person, buy it again. Okay? That's all.
That was fantastic.
Any questions? Come on. You have to have questions. By the way, Asian culture in food, to me, is the most millenary culture. Before French, before everybody. And I love your food because it doesn't have a norm. You can cook vegetables big, little, however it is. I don't like norms in food. That's why I don't like French food. Go ahead.
How did you very first get involved? Like, how did you become interested in food and cooking?
Well, I studied hotel and restaurant management. And when I came back to Ecuador, it's funny because I started working with my dad in a football business, a soccer business, sorry. And working with family becomes something that is difficult sometimes. So I decided to look for another job and I started teaching English. And when I started teaching English, my aunt was teaching at a university. She's like, come teach at my university. So I started teaching English and then I was stuck. I mean, I had a roof. And I was like, what do I do? Well, studying a master's will help. Studying the master's, there are no coincidences in life. I met Carlos Gallardo, my mentor. And that's how it all started. I mean, and it was funny because he was trying to do like this pretty little food, and Ecuadorians don't eat pretty food. I mean, we want a mountain of rice right next to our food, we eat a lot. And that's whenever he invited me to eat, I was like, and do you have the rice to go or or what, And he saw my identity in food. And he's like, I need this guy. Correct? So basically, as I said, coincidence won't happen. Just whatever happens in your life now, think of it as it's already happened and do the best you can. Any other questions? Nope.
If we have the chance to try Ecuadorian cuisine, what ones would you recommend that we absolutely have in our lifetime?
Well, you've tried Ecuadorian food already. The bananas you buy at Sam's are Ecuadorian. Probably the shrimp that you buy is Ecuadorian. Correct? If you want to try something that I really, really, really like, is the yaguar locro. It's a potato soup, as I said, with the cow's stomach, which is called guatita, but it also has peanut on it, peanut butter on it. Correct?
It's that one right there.
It's this one.
Para loco, is that how it's?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct? So if you go to the central region or the mountainous region, try this because it's very typical. And it's also an example on how food has changed with time. Because we had this soup, but hey, we didn't have cows, so we didn't have milk and cheese. So this recipe has changed with time to this. But this is not going to sell outside because it has the pig's blood. That's why we don't sell it outside. That's why we go with products. Plus, we have a fierce competition with Peru down there. So yeah, we want to market ourselves in a different way. Right? Now, ceviche. There's a ceviche in Jipijapa, a zone over there. I don't know if you know about food, but Ferran Adrià, one of the most famous chefs in the world now, he's Spanish. He went to Ecuador. And I made him try ceviche with peanut butter because they serve the ceviche and they serve the peanut butter on top, and you can grab the peanut butter and mix it in there however you want. He was like, this is the wackiest, the best combination of them all. And I was like, wow, Ferran Adrià is saying that. Ferran Adrià is the inventor of everything that has to do with foams and gels and this and that. I mean, he's very, very upscale. I'm not very upscale in food. But he said it. He's like, this is the best combination I ever, I mean, the wackiest, but the best. Those things put us in a map. We were first put in a map by them. Right? Any other questions?
No question. Then we can break and have food and then we can talk more. How can we use food to strengthen our families?
Sit down and eat. That's the first thing. Don't eat fast. Sit down, enjoy your meals with your family. Because whatever happens in that table, there's no cell phones. There's nothing in that table. It's just you and your family. It's a moment where you enjoy it. Actually, they sit down with I eat, but I'm used to eating on my feet all the time. But I do share time with them. So the first thing you do is sit down and eat. And second of all, if you can cook together, do it. Learn together as a family. Don't follow the recipe. Never follow the recipe. Do whatever it is that you would like to change your food. That's how food grows, by investigation and by experimentation.
Wow.
Anything else? I want to ask you for a huge favor. I want to take a picture for you guys so I can send to Ecuador for the gastronomy day with all of you in my flag. So if you can please come up here and take a picture with us. This will be in the Ecuadorian Gastronomy Day. Very linked to it. When is it? December 12th. Oh, it's my daughter's birthday also. She was born 12/12/12. Yes. Come on.
I mean, I agree.
Class, maybe we'll have you come back and cook for us. for our celebration.
I would love to, but no, I'm not gonna cook for you.
I'm trying to make it awkward.
If you want to hold it in the part.
Do you want this projector or should we turn it off?
Sorry.
En el frente. ¿Sí?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I think I just turned off the online people, sorry. Still there.
Yeah?
All right, guys ready? Okay, here we go. Take a bunch of shots. Smiling. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean,
This is so great.
I haven't been in the university for a long time and it was very, very nice to be here. The prayer was amazing. Thank you.
You have a prayer on the food. Who wants to do that?
Pray for, I'm
Dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful. It is to learn the opportunity to learn to be together. Please bless us be able to use what we learned in our future, and please bless the foods can nourish our body so that we may get stronger and to do the good work in this. We say this is